Hello friends, there's only one king of the monsters and it's not Mickey Rourke, it's Godzilla.
Jeez, that's really mean.
Is that too much? I'm sorry, Mickey Rourke, you're a really good actor.
You're gonna get beat up.
Probably. The legendary granddaddy of the kaiju genre is back once again with director Michael Dougherty's Godzilla King of the Monsters, which pits the iconic 40-story lizard against some of his most memorable monster foes. This week on Heat Vision Breakdown, we offer you a primer on the giant monster movie bestiary, from Mothra to King Ghidorah to Destoroyah.
You mean Zoya the Destroyer from Glow?
No, I definitely do not mean that. No. Godzilla first appeared in 1954, less than a decade after the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. As a result of the post-war environment surrounding the introduction of the character, Godzilla was originally conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weaponry by creator Ishiro Honda. While the original film was highly allegorical and dramatic, the franchise soon expanded to more humorous and fantastical takes on the character. While he may look like a gigantic lizard, Godzilla was actually described as, and derived his name from, a mixture of a gorilla and a whale. I don't see it. Anyway, over the past half-century, Godzilla has become a global phenomenon, starring in nearly 40 separate films and even being named an official cultural ambassador for Japan in 2015. Good luck topping that, Pia Lundberg, counselor for cultural affairs in Sweden. Of course, Godzilla quickly shifted from being a terrorizing force in Japan to being a beloved protector and protagonist. But a great hero is only as good as the villains he goes up against. Luckily, Godzilla's rogues gallery gives even Batman a run for his money. It's a poor choice of idioms. Batman is a billionaire. Who wrote that? Godzilla's first big screen foe was Anguirus, a spiky, turtle-looking monster that Godzilla fought against in 1955's Godzilla Raids Again. Despite their rocky start, Anguirus actually later teams up with Godzilla to fight much stronger foes, such as the three-headed dragon King Ghidorah. Much like Wolverine, Anguirus can heal very quickly and also has the ability to move incredibly fast, despite its stubby little baby legs, in part because it has a brain that extends to its abdomen, sort of like Krang from the Ninja Turtles.
Stupid reptiles!
The next Godzilla foe actually wasn't a Toho Studios creation, but rather a familiar American monster, King Kong. In a crossover film between Toho's enormous gorilla whale iguana and Universal's plain old ordinary giant gorilla, Godzilla faced off against Kong in 1962's appropriately named King Kong vs. Godzilla. They weren't super creative. What's truly remarkable about this film, aside from the fact that it features a giant gorilla fighting a nuclear dinosaur, and also a gigantic octopus, God, this movie kicks ass! King Kong vs. Godzilla was the biggest hit in the series at the time of its release, and a sequel was immediately planned, then later scrapped, and further crossover projects that would pit Godzilla against Hollywood monsters were pitched, such as a script that saw the Japanese behemoth facing off against a supersized version of Frankenstein's monster. That film was never made, and our world is all the poorer without its existence. While he never got to match blows with Frankenstein's monster, Toho did set Godzilla against what would become one of his most famous foes, and later his friend, a giant moth. In 1964, shortly after the success of King Kong vs. Godzilla, Toho released Mothra vs. Godzilla. Yeah, the moth got top billing, which many might believe was the first appearance of Mothra, but those people clearly didn't watch enough late-night television in the 1980s and 90s. Mothra was actually first introduced in her own film, simply titled Mothra, in 1961, but it wasn't until she went up against Godzilla that she became a household name, at least in households that are awesome, like mine. While Mothra was initially a nemesis of Godzilla, the two later teamed up to take on Godzilla's greatest foe of all, King Ghidorah. Yes, in the same year that Mothra vs. Godzilla hit theaters in Japan, Toho also introduced the three-headed dragon monster, which took our Lizard King hero teaming up with Mothra and Rodan, introduced in his own film back in 1956, to bring him down. While there have been countless intimidating threats to Godzilla over the years, a giant gecko bird with scythes for hands named Gigan, a fat unicorn dragon with the most metal name of all time, Destoroyah, a robot version of himself, Mechagodzilla, a scoop of ice cream, Hedorah, whatever. King Ghidorah is rightfully the monarch of all Godzilla baddies. Ghidorah has gone toe-to-toe with Godzilla in 9 films now, and he is the main antagonist in this year's Godzilla King of the Monsters, and for good reason. First off, he's bigger and stronger than Godzilla. Second, he can shoot anti-gravity beams out of his mouth. That's awesome. Third, depending on the film, he's either an alien dragon who destroys planets, a genetically engineered mutant that came from the frickin' future, or just a badass guardian of Japan. Either way, he's sweet. Either way, Ghidorah is one of the most impressive movie monsters ever created, and appropriately fitting foe for the King of Monsters, requiring Godzilla to team up with other kaiju in order to take him down. There are still like 40 other Godzilla monsters that deserve recognition, but in the interest of time, I'm going to just rattle off my favorites as quickly as possible. Here we go. Bioland, Abira, Kamanga, Megalon, Bambi, Baragon, King Caesar, Matthew Broderick, Heisenberg, Muto, actually, that one sucks, and of course the city of Tokyo, and now I guess Millie Bobby Brown, too. In the world of giant film monsters, there really is no contest for Godzilla. The Kaiju King has endeared audiences for over half a century, starred in over 36 films, and launched an empire worth billions. Perhaps the most impressive thing about Godzilla, particularly when compared to lesser movie monsters, is that he has relatable, endearing human qualities. He's brave, he shows compassion, he's a good father, he never gives up, and on top of all that, he's a phenomenal dancer. The lasting impact of Godzilla is due in large part to the versatility of the character, how he can be adapted to fit the needs of whichever era he's released into. A stark allegory of nuclear winter, a staunch defender of Japanese heritage and pride, a reminder of the dangers of pollution and human greed, and also a silly dinosaur played by a dude in a rubber suit. Godzilla has done pretty much everything. No other giant movie monster really comes close, except maybe the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters, he's awesome. And there seems to be no end in sight for the towering dino lizard's reign as a cultural icon. I'm not even gonna end it as a joke because I love Godzilla that much. There have been many iterations of Godzilla over the years, so why don't you let us know what your favorite one is in the comments right down there. Don't forget to subscribe and join us here every Friday morning for new episodes of Heat Vision Breakdown.